Oh, good morning, everyone. Here we are on April the 18th, and Deborah and her mom are probably landed by now. I'm not sure, but they took off in the middle of the night. They're out west visiting family and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and all that sort of stuff. So we pray blessing for them as they're away from us. We're continuing to read through this season of David's, and today we're looking at Psalm 17, 35, 54, and 63. And here we're seeing the principle of running into our fortress. We come across it in Scripture quite often. The thought of running into our fortress, and what does this really mean? You know, the Lord is our fortress. The Lord is our fortress. What does this mean? We have to understand it from the point of view of the promises. He has given us a lot of promises, a whole boatload of promises, and these promises get applied to our situation. We run into that promise. He is not a God who reneges on his promises. He is faithful to every one of them. So as we discover the promises that apply to our situation, we run into that. Now the enemy is going to attack that. I mean, today's promise, one of the things is that God provides food for those he loves. There's other scripture that we read, and it says that God provides sleep for those he loves. Jesus told us in Matthew 6 that God knows what we need, Father knows what we need, and he'll take care of those things for us. We have to concentrate on pursuing the kingdom and the righteousness of that kingdom. So the thing is, the enemy will attack that. He has this way of attacking these promises in our mind. He attacks our faith. He attacks, and he does it. He does it in our mind. He can't attack the heart, because that's where the faith is. But the faith impacts the mind, influences the mind, and that's where he gets in, and he plays around. And did God really say? He plants doubts and thoughts. Well, this promise is for everybody else, but it doesn't apply to you. Or you think you deserve this. You think that God really loves you. You think that He's forgiven you for those terrible things that you've done. And He does this so that we begin to doubt those promises. But in Psalm 8, which we didn't do today, but which I've done privately on my own, just in other times when I retreat to the Word, we read there about the power of worship, and we get this idea that we run into the fortress, but in that fortress, which is the promise of God, we worship. And we worship becomes like a wall to the enemy. He can't get at us. It shuts him out. When we're singing songs of praise, of faith, of worship, songs of trust, songs of adoration, the enemy can't come in. And so here we are in the fortress of this promise, and there's a wall around the fortress, keeping the enemy at bay. The problem is when we don't know the promises. The problem is when we don't understand the power and the importance of praise and worship. When we don't know how to stand our ground, then the enemy is going to come in, and it's a feast for him. It's easy for him to feast on our mind. We have weak minds when it comes to faith, and so this is what we have to be careful of. Know your word, so you know what promises apply to which situations, and learn to worship. Learn to, no matter how you feel. Listen, when I get up in the morning, I get up extra early in the morning. I need the time. I need to be renewed every single day. I don't want to go. I don't want to rely on yesterday's meal for today. I need a new meal for today. I need to be reminded again today. I know I'm weak. I know I'm weak. I know in my flesh I'm weak. I know I leak. I'm a leaker. These things leak out of me, and so I need to be filled up again every day. I feel no shame in confessing that. I have absolute dependence on the Lord. Yeah, I have a pantry of testimonies, and when I need to encourage myself, I take out of that pantry for sure. But I want a new meal every day. I want a new feast every day. I want to be reminded of those promises, because sometimes we forget. And I want to be reminded of the importance of praise and worship, of trust, of loyalty. I need to be reminded of these things, and so I can just confess the Lord every single morning, and that keeps the enemy at bay. So you be blessed in this day. Trust the Lord, learn the promises, worship Him, cause the enemy to flee from you, and be used by Him. We're here to be used by Him, be used in people's lives who need to know the Lord. So God bless. See you tonight at prayer meeting. I'm looking forward to it.